Hey Spuddies, PotatoMcWhiskey here and welcome to Let's Play Civilization 6 in the Overexplained Arabia game. Now to start things off, there were actually a good few questions that have accumulated over a few episodes that I thought I would quickly address before we continue. The first one is, why am I going to war? And the simple answer is that it takes a long time to win a game of Civ, so I'm showing you that you can actually go to war fairly late into the game and not actually hurt yourself too bad. I could be beelining for chemistry and earning tons of science, but I'm gonna have to spend a certain amount of turns earning my way through these tech trees anyway. So I don't mind delaying research labs for a little bit because it allows me the opportunity to get an army now that I will upgrade progressively as I go through the game. I will be going for flight and chemistry pretty soon, so I'm not delaying research labs by that much, especially when you consider that I'm already super ahead on technology. The other thing a lot of people were asking me is, how am I doing the thing where I can queue up multiple technologies on different trees? Basically what you do is you select the first technology that you want to place, and then you hold down shift. I don't know how to do this on console, and then you left click on the technology you would like to research after that. So that's how you do the queuing. The other one is, people were asking me why I'm doing the appease the gods. Why am I getting rid of units when I'm in a war? I'm planning to use my units for another purpose. And it really just comes down to, I was feeding in units I don't need. These are units that I have in excess. I don't need those units. The other question was, when the AI sends me a demand, why do I always automatically decline it? And that's because accepting the AI's demand actually doesn't really do anything. In fact, it can often make your diplomacy with them worse because they see you accepting the demands as being weak. And finally, I don't think I thought I had adequately addressed why I waited on founding my religion. But really all it comes down to is that I didn't have enough holy sites. And that's important because when you found a religion, all of the cities that you have holy sites in automatically convert to your religion. You're able to see that in Ostia. The second reason was I just didn't have enough faith income to actually establish and protect my religion. You know, inquisitors, apostles, and missionaries cost a couple hundred faith each, and I didn't have enough to really make that work. Hopefully that addresses all the questions that were asked, and we can get back into things. And I'll give you a brief overview of what we plan to do this episode. I plan to run around with my cavalry, pillaging to get heals and looking for districts, in particular districts, that I can pillage quite easily in order to lower the combat strength of this city. You can see here, this tile belonged to Aquileia, which is this city, and by pillaging this entertainment complex, I will actually lower the city's combat score. You can see here, when I hover over it, you can see it's +4 from districts, so if I'm able to also pillage this holy site and get myself a decent amount of faith in the bargain as well, if I can get this pillaged down, I'll actually lower the city's combat strength and make it easier to conquer. One thing to note as well, when you're attacking fortifications, you actually don't do a huge amount of damage like the first few times you attack. But as you start to rip away these defenses, you see this first attack did 16 defense worth of damage, the fortification health. And the more you attack, the lower that number will get, and the easier it will be to break a city. Let's bring this bombard corps forward, and we'll have them positioned here, right by the medic, and I'm going to go ahead and get some railroads in and around here so I can easily sweep in with my cuirassiers and stuff like that. I think field cannons there are mostly just for defense, so I'll keep them online here to protect from any potential advances. And here's a good way that I can show off the fortification health thing. So I'm going to attack first with this battleship, and you'll see the city will lose 7 defenses. This battleship does exactly the same amount of damage, and the city will lose 8. So the more you damage walls, the faster they come down. My spy has successfully stolen gold from Estergom, which means I should be able to level him up. Out of these ones, I find Ace Driver is great because if it lowers the chance that your spy is captured, it means you have more opportunities to use your spy without having to spend resources to reacquire him. When a spy fails a mission, they're killed or potentially captured. And so if you have a better chance of escaping, that means less turns on average that I might be failing to get value out of my spy. There is steel. We now have access to artillery. We will of course be upgrading to artillery. We have a little bit of oil, so I think we can safely upgrade at least 2 of these guys. And ideally we will be combining these together with more bombards down the road. I have another artillery coming out, in fact. Now that I have steel, it could be worth it for me to pick up tanks, but it'd be far more interesting for me to pick up flight. And the reason why I want to pick up flight is to get access to the observation balloon. The observation balloon will give +1 range to all of my artillery units, meaning more of my artillery can attack a single district, and more of them, and they can attack from safety. So more of them can attack, and they can attack from safety, basically. I could steal this builder, but I think I would like to pillage for health here. And then I'll swing in with this cuirassier to steal that builder. So already from this war, I'm starting to profit, right? I'm getting a 3 build charge builder. Not an amazing profit, but a profit nonetheless. There's a field cannon here being annoying. I will continue to pillage to get myself into a good position in terms of this. And I want to pillage this a couple more times and try to keep this guy safe. I don't have enough strategic resources to continue to produce all of the units that I want, so I'm going to start working on spies and stuff like that so I can steal more gold. Damietta is a city that's hitting its growth limit. Also, a lot of people were asking me why I didn't bother building a dam in Damietta, and the reason for that is I kind of value this farm triangle more. Is pretty much what it comes down to. So what I'll do in here is I'll grab myself a builder and a sewer to keep this city's growth potential high. When you're bombarding a city with battleships, always make sure you take the bombardment promotion, and the reason for that is, if you look at the combat strength down here, it'll say 77, which means this unit will do quite a bit more damage than this unit, which doesn't have the promotion, since it only does 7. 70, not 7. Oops, kind of misspoke there. In Mecca, I'm kind of wondering whether or not I should chop this forest for Mecca. I could keep it, but I could also chop it. Let me see. I wouldn't be able to build anything with the chop, so it's probably not worth my time to chop. There could be a farm triangle here. I would lose a marsh, but it would be a pretty good farm triangle that would feed multiple cities. Maybe not the best thing to do at my time. I might just send this builder over to Jeddah. Now, I will be feeding a cavalry into my volcano, but that's purely just to make sure that I win the appease the gods. I've already invested into it, so sacrificing a unit or two that I don't need right now is totally fine, and continue to steal gold using our spies. We completed every building inside an encampment building. You get era score when you finish all of the buildings in an encampment building. And that means that we now have access to the military academy. And since we have the military academy, one of the special effects of that is that it allows you to train corps and armies and reduces their cost by 25%. So if I come in here, for example, and I take a look at a relatively expensive unit like the cavalry, it would normally cost me 165 production to build a single cavalry. If I were to build 2 of those, it would cost me 330 production. However, due to the 50% reduction, I think it is, that we currently have running, normally it would cost me quite a bit more, actually. These are very cheap because I have the 50% reduction in unit cost. But these cavalry units, you'll notice, right, even though this unit should be double the production cost of this cavalry, it's only going to cost me 4 turns of production instead of 6. So it's actually, it makes building really, really strong units quite efficient here. And here's probably the best example. I think I can't remember if it reduces the price or increases the build speed. But you can see here, a single artillery, right, would normally cost me 4 turns of production. But I can build a core artillery in 5, which it seems like a pretty obvious decision for me to make, right, which one I'm going to build. And now the fantastic thing about artillery is they actually have pretty comparable strengths to the encampment district, at 90 base. So we're going to start ripping this down very quickly. You can see here we did 40 combat strength and defense, and even though this unit is slightly weaker because it's taken damage, we should do more than 40, or it was actually roughly equal. So that's pretty interesting. So taking down a little bit of the thing's health was like getting a +2 combat strength. Interesting. Good little metric for us to keep in mind there. Now in Iridium, I'm also going to be working on the barracks, stable, armory, and all that sort of jazz. In fact, I probably will go stable into armory, into military academy. And that'll give me another place that I can start to produce really, really powerful units really efficiently. Now, I need to keep an eye on oil. I did do a bit of a search for oil. We are going to want to pick up plastics so that we can get our offshore oil rigs, because I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure we don't have a whole lot of oil inside our territory. That is also on land. Like, we have a decent amount strewn about the place, but all of it is in the water. So if we're going to make any sort of regular use of oil, with the exception of the one that was in Araka underneath the campus, so it gets automatically extracted. That's an important thing to note. If you build a district on a strategic resource and you complete that district, you will automatically extract that strategic resource when you reveal it. So I'm getting 3 oil per turn from this campus, which is how I'm funding my artillery. I need a little bit more housing and a lab to get this city up to 10 population, which will allow me to build another district, but also importantly, it will get me to 10 population for the rationalism card. So I'm going to take some time to get a sewer in here. I also want to see if I can get a bit more food in here. Need to grow the city. If I could maybe prioritize food, I might do that. But for now, I'm pretty happy with the way things are shaking out in this city. Mecca, on the other hand, is a city that I'm having a little bit of trouble growing. I'm going to say focus on food and not other stuff. And I think I'll also steal this quarry to give me a more workable tile, and this forest here as well. And that will lower the amount of turns that it will take for the city to grow to 10 population, which again will give me a boost for this campus. I'll also do 1 campus research project in here. In fact, I'll do 2 of them, because by the time it finishes both of those, it should be 10 population. And that'll give me, so how these campus research grants work is they convert the production in your city to science and great people points, and I think it's roughly 15%. So 15% of your production will become science, and 15% of your production will become great people points when you finish it. So you can see here, this has 228 production cost. Let's assume that it's 200. That means I'll get, roughly speaking, about 33 total great people points towards scientists, which is quite a good amount that I'll be able to put towards getting a great scientist. But more importantly, this is a way, if I don't have anything I need to build in the city, I can just work campus research grants. And the other reason why I decided to declare war, because just going through all of my cities and plugging in campus research grants would have been a bit less interesting. Here's a good way to demonstrate just how powerful this +7 combat strength is. I'm going to attack this city with this battleship. It'll do 8 and 4, and then attack with the slightly weaker one, and you can see it does 8 and 3. So this one is significantly stronger. It might not seem like it with 1 health, but as I start to promote these guys up, I'll be able to do progressively more and more damage to this city. I might even go ahead and just like throw my ironclad into Rome to try to speed up the conquest, because I don't need this for anything else, and I can also use him to pillage this harbor for a bit of extra gold. Now this might seem a little bit crazy. I'm not actually going to improve this coal just yet. I have plenty of turns until that coal runs out, but what I do want to do is harvest this woods so that I can get this harbor a lot quicker. Pillage once for 300 gold, pillage again for another 300. So we just got 600 gold out of this ironclad, which I think is a pretty reasonable deal. We'll go ahead and take the promotions and continue to bombard Rome. We're slowly pulling down the defense of this city. This isn't our focus. Our main focus is Aquileia right now, but we will eventually turn our direction towards Rome. I don't know if I'm going to keep Rome. I think my plan is to capture everything and then maybe like piece out Rome, leave them with like Puteoli and Rome. That's it, maybe. I might even leave Rome and take everything else. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go ahead and bombard this district a little bit more with our 2 artillery. This guy's getting a little bit weak, but he should be fine. Pillage the shrine for 155 faith. I'll also start maybe working on pillaging over here as well. It would be good if I could just kind of rip down all of their stuff. You might be saying, why are you pillaging all their stuff if you plan to take it over? Because I can get lots of value now by pillaging, and I probably won't get that much value from actually owning their territory. Religious alliance with Eleanor, I will accept that. That seems totally fine to me. So, one thing to note is that the really nice thing about these corps and armies is that a corps, a unit, a regular unit, a corps, and an army all consume the same amount of oil per turn. You can see here, this regular artillery uses 1 oil per turn. That's why I have 3 artillery. I'm losing 3 oil per turn. If I were to upgrade this bombard, I'd now be using 4 oil per turn, but I don't think this actually updates until you actually roll the turnover. So you won't be able to see that. But if I combine these 2 together, I get a much stronger artillery that only uses 1 oil. So that's why I like to combine my units together, particularly in the late game. You're a little bit weak. I'm going to let them heal up, especially with the aid of a medic, providing them with some extra healing. And then I'll bring in this artillery to take over the front line in a moment. Since I'm not currently planning to do many upgrades to my units, I think I might go ahead and plug out professional army, plug in logistics so that my units have +1 move. I'll explain why that's really good in a moment. Then I'll plug in public works so that any builders that I build are built more efficiently and I get more build charges out of them. It doesn't apply to this guy, but that's totally fine. I do plan on building a few more builders as the game goes on. Looks like I got myself another Great Admiral, which is fantastic. I'll be able to teleport him over to the front line here to provide a little bit of extra combat strength to my 2 battleships that are bombarding Rome. Could be worth it for me to actually build another pair of battleships to combine together here. And in fact, I do have those coming up in Araka actually. Stable completed, we're up to 13 population, which has unlocked another district in this city. I definitely want a commercial hub, but the problem is all of the tiles that I want to place a commercial hub would kind of ruin things for me. So maybe it would be good to go for something like an entertainment complex. The entertainment complex would be really, really helpful because it would be providing loyalty and amenities to this local area, which I think a lot of these bottom half cities don't get amenities right now. Or amenities from this entertainment district that I built up in the north. So I might go ahead and just slap down an entertainment complex on one of these farms, and that'll just give me a bit of extra amenities down here, and that'll help with loyalty holding these cities that I plan to take. But of course, I will first get my armory. Maybe I could purchase the armory? Yeah, I think I'll purchase the armory in the military academy in here, and then I can start producing units from it as well. And now we're going to pillage this last district here. But I want to make sure that you can see this thing that I wanted to show you. So I'll step you back this way. You can see here, the city's combat strength is 79. When I pillage this thing, the city's combat strength goes down to 77. So by pillaging districts, you make cities easier to kill. It's not a huge difference, but it is a difference worth noting. We just got flight, which allows us to get the observation balloon. The observation balloon is going to be supremely helpful. So I might just go in here and go ahead and purchase one of those in a turn or two when I have enough gold. We're also continuing to bombard this and pillage their lands for all of the delicious faith that it can provide me. Next upgrade, I think I'm going to go for the supply convoy because that won't give my artillery +1 movement, and that is really, really important on the offensive because if you didn't know this, your artillery can't move and shoot unless they have more than 2 movement. By getting the supply convoy and attaching them to my artillery will have 3 movement, which means they'll be able to attack and move, which is why this guy can attack and move, because I plugged in the logistics card, giving +1 movement to my artillery, which again has allowed me to move and shoot. I could go for a Ruhr Valley here in my capital, and that seems like a pretty reasonable thing to do. It would be a 20 turn build time. It's the city with the most amount of production in my empire, and I think a lot of people see the bonuses on the Ruhr Valley. They see the 20% production, or sorry, the +1 production for each mine and quarry in the city, and think that's the most important part, where in actual fact, the most important part is the +20% production in this city. Oh wow, I can't believe I never spotted this oil right here. I'll need a builder charge to grab that. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Ruhr Valley because that will be a significant boost to the city's production. It will lower the adjacency of this mine by 1, which, you know, sucks, but I think the Ruhr Valley is valuable enough that the 16 turns spent building it will make up for that problem. Should be about time that we can rip down this encampment, and that will open up options for us to take down the city. It's been a long time coming, but now we can go ahead and blow through this encampment. You do have to attack it one last time with a melee unit to fully pillage it, but now this city's combat strength is even lower because we've blown up all of the districts in it, which has lowered the combat strength. Now the combat strength went up slightly because there is a garrison unit. That's totally fine, and we can start bombarding down that city. Shall keep bombarding this city, and the Great Admiral here is also providing a nice benefit in that our units do more damage. And I typically, what you want to do is you want to shoot first with the unit that you plan to combine into, and then combine it. That way you get a shot and a combine. Whereas if I had just combined those units, I wouldn't have got that extra little bit of damage in. Just on the cusp of running out of coal, I managed to improve some more. Now I'm getting another 3, and that'll give me a little bit more room with regards to my coal income. Now to really show the difference here, if I shoot, I'm going to shoot with the fleet first. And you can see here, I'll step forward and take a shot. We will do 19 and 16, and then I'll shoot with this guy second. They'll do 11 and 17. And remember, the second unit to shoot should do more damage. So even though this unit was attacking a stronger city, because it has been combined and has that +10 combat strength, it is way stronger. Since we've cleared out this encampment now, we can safely move our artillery forward. And we probably need to be positioned at least 2 tiles away. So all 3 of these guys should have had +2 movement, but because we are now outside of our territory, we're no longer able to move and attack, except for this guy. Because he started with +3 movement and then moved outside of my territory, he lost +1 maximum movement, but he still technically has all of his movement, so he's still able to shoot. It's a bit of a weird system, but it kind of works. I just need to get those supply convoys increased, and then I'll be able to move and shoot really, really easily. I'm still allied with Persia. I'm trying to think, where would I be best putting this trade route to help out my empire? And I think it's actually best if I place this in Jeddah. Reason being is this city needs food and production to get it going, so I can trade internationally with my allies, getting the extra boost from Wisłabanken, as well as a bunch of gold. I'm also pillaging their campuses for a bit of science, which is nice. It's not a huge amount, it's about half a turn's worth of science, but every little bit helps. There is combustion, giving me access to the tank and the supply convoy. Both of those are an important part of this. However, the the supply convoy is probably the more important part. I could bring these cuirassiers back to become tanks, and I probably want to have one or two, so I might get them moving in that direction and get them leveling up. I healed one of my artillery. I'll begin bombarding the city. I didn't mean to move you. I don't know why you moved. I pressed A. That was really weird. Doesn't matter that much. I guess we'll get the attack next turn. Now that I have artillery and stuff like that, I think it's safe for me to move towards chemistry. I'll get working on chemistry now. It's only 3 techs away. It's only a few turns, and then I can start pumping out my research labs, because I'm feeling pretty confident that the army that I have right now should be able to defeat Rome pretty easily. I'm ripping down his city walls in a couple of shots. He doesn't even have enough units to actually challenge my artillery, so I don't even need to protect them. I have multiple artillery, like 4 ready to go to start hitting the cities. I'm 1 turn away from getting 2 observation balloons, which will give all of these guys massive range for me to bombard down these cities. So I'm feeling pretty good about the current status. I think 2 supply convoys and 2 observation balloons should do the trick, with a military engineer eventually running around supporting as well to provide some railroads. Really want a trade route in this city, so I'm going to go ahead and place a commercial hub on what is a really good tile, but I value the trade route way more than the value of working that tile, especially when I have all of these delicious marsh tiles around. Rome is starting to look for peace, which is really, really good for me. It means I've done enough damage to them to where they think they are losing the war, which means I can extract value whenever I want to by demanding peace from them. So my plan is currently just to kill their units that they're trying to like flank me with and stuff. Then sweep my way down through here, grab these, maybe I might even just grab 2 of the 4 cities. I might grab all 4. We'll see how it goes. All of my artillery is now in position. We'll go, have a look at this city, right? It's at max health. It's at 200 health, 230 fortification. We shoot once, down comes 42 defenses. We shoot twice, down comes another 43 defenses. We shoot for the 3rd time, down comes 48 defenses. We shoot for the 4th time, down comes 63 defenses. So this city should fall, maybe next turn, the turn after. Gonna go ahead and grab myself a tank. Although I want to be careful about the amount of oil that I'm consuming, because I haven't quite got the 2nd oil online, so maybe I'll wait a couple turns. If I run out of oil, it would be not ideal, but I think I should be fine to get another tank, or another unit rather. In Damascus, I know I had plans for this city in like commercial hub kind of directions and stuff like that. Kind of tempted to get an aerodrome, although I probably won't need bombers to fight this guy. So I might just go for the commercial hub for the extra trade route. But if I wanted to, I could totally go for aircraft right now. Make my way to advanced flight. But I think my plan is to now power hard for science once I take over Rome. A ton of districts are available, or not districts, sorry. A ton of wonders are available, but none of them really appeal to me right now. Orzgaz, sure, that's nice. It gets me extra diplo favor from being suzerain. Sankor is extra science. Taj Mahal is era score. I mean, Taj Mahal is pretty good, but I don't want to give up these nice tiles. So I think I'll just like not build any wonders and instead let the city continue to work. It has everything it needs, right? It has a trade route district. It has a production district. It has a science district. It has a faith district. It has an entertainment complex. The only thing I would maybe consider adding in here is like maybe an industrial zone for that little bit of extra production. But that would like use more oil or more coal, and I don't really have that spare. I don't need any more military. So what we're probably going to do in here is just queue up a whole bunch of campus research grants, and that way we're producing an insane amount of science per turn. Oh yeah, I meant to click on Mecha to actually show you guys. You can see here, it is from the, if you look at the very top of this list, it'll say 9.7 from campus research grants. So that's the extra science we're getting from working this city project. Aleppo needs a holy site to further increase its science output because I'm playing Arabia and I get science from holy sites. Ah, damn, it looks like I didn't even win the Appease the Gods, but I did get a free promotion, which is nice. That should trigger next turn. I did feed one more unit into the volcano, just on the off chance that it still counts and I might win. Third and final promotion for Qasim, I'm going to go ahead and take Surveillance. Why am I taking Surveillance? Because when you're going for a science victory, in the late game, you want to use your spies to defend your spaceport. Now, personally, I feel that having a single spaceport is the most efficient way to win, because you don't have to get multiple spaceports. Like, that should seem fairly obvious. You have one, you run all your projects to it, you only invest in one. Now, the downside is it can be pillaged by spies, which is why you upgrade your spies with defensive promotions to protect your spaceports. Until that point, though, I pretty much just used them for offensive missions. We'll fall this turn. I pressed A to attack and my unit walked forward. I'm a little bit weirded out by what's happening with my units this game. So I'm just going to try to be way more careful with my clicking, because I'm just having some kind of weird issues. But there's the city. The city now belongs to me. I will keep the city for 8 grievances, so why wouldn't I take this? Then I'll grab myself Victor, who is currently in Damascus, being useful, but I'll plop him into Aquileia just to keep the loyalty helpful. Now that I took this city over, what I'm going to be doing is working on repairing stuff. I'll probably just repair the basic buildings first, and then get the encampment repaired. Oh, I actually did win the Soothsayer competition, so when the timer says 0 on this thing, you have one last turn to plug things in. Oh, lovely, and I got the Soothsayer promotion that I was really hoping for. This is the one that basically turns your Soothsayers into pseudo-great generals. They give +5 combat strength to all adjacent units. That's fantastic. I'm going to be able to use those in conjunction with my artillery and tanks to rip down these cities even faster. Here is the power of having an observation balloon beside your artillery. I'm 3 tiles away, and I can shoot this city when normally I wouldn't be able to, and rip down those walls. Before you ever want to recruit a great scientist, make sure you check how close other people are to getting one. So I'm going to go ahead and recruit this one, even though he's not very good, because everyone else is pretty far away from getting a great scientist, so I may as well grab him. Get a couple of tech boosts out of that great scientist, which is totally fine. Not exactly what I need, but, you know, I'll take it. I actually stole a settler as well from these guys, which I don't really have much use for. I guess I'll just send it. Oh man, there's an amazing campus right there that I never spotted. That would have been really good. +3 at least, and maybe a +5 if there had been a reef, but, you know, can't really control the reef. Rome is even more desperate for peace now. I do not want peace. I want all of their cities. I want Nazca liberated. You want a cultural alliance? I will take your cultural alliance. I might try to start trading with Pachacuti to get my culture up. I would like a little bit more culture. My culture is very, very low. Although, one thing that I can say is that if you can maximize your science, you can essentially convert science into culture when you launch the moon landing. And that can often be enough for you to get the last little bit of science you need in a game to reach those last bits. Looks like I lost the Ruhr Valley, which isn't the end of the world, but I will need a builder to rebuild that mine instead. Lovely. We have just picked up James Watt. Now, James Watt is a great engineer in the sense that he is a great engineer, but he's also a great engineer because he will give your factories +2 production. Now, he will instantly build them too, so it may be worth it to wait on that. However, I think the +2 production on the factory and workshop thing is so good that it's like... Sorry, the +2 production on factories is just so good that I need to build him immediately. Because he will make my factories go from being, if I look in here, they will go from being +6 production. If I come in here and then refresh this tile, they're now 8 production. That 8 production is spread to all my nearby cities. So in fact, a single use of this guy is actually however many cities your factory is hitting. That's how many times you multiply it by. So a single use of James Watt is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4... let's say 5 cities getting multiplied by that. That's 10 production. Hit him again, that's 20 production. And I get to use him twice because I built the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. The Mausoleum of Halicarnassus is amazing for a science game because a lot of the really late game great engineers, you want to use them multiple times, and that's what Mausoleum lets you do. It lets you use great engineers more than once. And I think now is the time that I'm going to be slapping in campus research grants in all of my cities until at least I'm getting research labs. Having a bit of an issue with Rome not realizing that they're dead and then using cavalry to kind of like run interference on my artillery, which is pretty clever on their part. I will give them that. However, it is infinitely annoying from my end. Let's go ahead and swing you guys forward. Now, this is something that I'm actually really, really bad at, but it's an important thing to do. And that is pre-positioning your units before you fire. So what I tend to do is kind of move units fire, and so on and so forth. But if you want to play it like an even higher level than me, what you really want to do is get all of your units in position, get all of your bonuses in position, and then strike. So for example, if I hadn't moved this Soothsayer forward, I wouldn't be getting the +5 combat strength from Soothsayer here, right? So you want to do all that sort of jazz, get all your bonuses in play, and you'll play even more efficient than I am. It's just like, I often find that it doesn't matter. Like, it's not the difference between me winning the game and losing, because I tend to play in a kind of sloppy, I'm going to win brute force kind of a way. So it doesn't seem to affect me at all. We are kind of out of coal though, which is a bit of a problem because I'm using a lot for power. So I might have to try to find more coal if I can. I think it might have to come from a city-state or something because I have just not found any. So if I could get Suzerainty of Fez maybe, although Matthias has like that one on lockdown. Hungary has decided to denounce me, which is kind of annoying because he is suzerain of a couple of city-states that I'm relying on for science. So if he declares war on me, it wouldn't like ruin my game, but it would hamper me and it would be annoying. Also, by the way, the city is dead in like 2 turns. Thanks to the power of artillery, I didn't even have to pillage all the districts, so I could just take the city with a cavalry. Yoink, it belongs to me. I'll keep the city. A little bit of a loyalty problem, so I'm going to go ahead and shift Victor again down to this city. That'll buy me up to 11 turns. This city should no longer need the loyalty, and I can begin moving on Nazca. Now, I will need a cavalry unit to actually give me vision of that city. Although the city has no wall, so it should die like supremely quickly. Which, if that's the case, then all I should need to kill this city like exceptionally quickly is to position this guy here so this city can shoot, and then get a melee unit over there like really quick to hammer the city too. Use James Watt again, bringing my factories up to 10 production each. Make sure you refresh your UI. It's up to 10 production each, which means every single factory that I build, every city is getting 10 production out of it, right? Now, it doesn't stack, so you can see here Aleppo is getting that 10 production from factories. If I can refresh your UI there for you, buddy. Wait, why is it only getting 6 from factory? That makes no sense. Hang on. You're getting 10 from factory, but you're only getting 6 from factory, huh? Maybe the extra production isn't spread? I feel like it should. Huh. Is that a bug? I swear I've seen that number go up before, so I'm a little bit confused by that. The only thing I would maybe consider in my capital now is a entertainment complex to get multipliers to all of my yields in here by having really high amenities and providing amenities in the local area. Either that or culture, but I think the extra amenities are going to be what like makes or breaks me. So I would probably want to do that through water parks. And since I'm going to be winning this war pretty easily, I don't need mobilization. So instead, I'm going to redirect to natural history. One little thing that you might want to manage in the late game is if you have a city like this, right? It's a 9 out of 10 population, or 9 out of 13 rather. It's in one population, this city gets another district. And I would like the city to work campus research grants, but I'd also like it to build another district maybe. Like I could get a holy site in here and get the extra multiplier that I get from playing as Arabia. So I want the city to work something, but I have nothing infrastructure-wise to build. I don't need any units. So instead, what I'll plug in is a few campus research grants, and then when this city finishes, it should be the proper population to get that going. It's kind of like a little bit of a management thing in the late game that makes things easier, rather than like just putting in one of these and then coming back to the city. Plan around like, when am I next going to look at this city? Jeddah is a city that will need assistance in the form of purchasing. So I'm going to purchase the lighthouse in here. That'll give me an extra 2 food on these fishing tiles. That'll allow me to grow this city incredibly quickly. So I do lose a bit of production on these, but I'll get it back really, really fast. I no longer need railroads, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete my military engineers. I've already won this war. It was more just like for illustrative purposes. I'm also going to start doing something that's going to look a little bit weird. I'm going to start centralizing my units into my capital. My trade units, that is, for a very particular reason. The Trade routes provide a lot of production in the late game. So if you have a particular project that you're going to be working on, like for example a spaceport and all the space race things, you want to centralize all your trade routes into a single city. Ideally that does not have a commercial hub if you're trading internationally, because if you have a commercial hub, enemies can steal your gold using spy missions. That is an advantage that the harbor has over the commercial hub, is that you can't steal gold from them. So I could take Rome's capital if I wanted to. However, I don't want to take the diplomatic penalty from actually fully killing them. I just want to leave them on a single city, and I'm going to be taking the rest. Okay. I feel like every game I play now has Ayafokul in it, or whatever it's called. In fact, I kind of want to settle that island. It's really far away from me, however, but I think I could get a couple cities on there, and it would be a lot of fun to do so. So instead, what I'm going to do is find a city where I don't care about the population getting reduced. Which is probably Damietta. Get myself a couple of settlers to send on over to settle this island. That'll be a lot of fun. I don't understand why I wasn't party to this military emergency since I'm at war with her. That doesn't make any sense, but alright. Sometimes the game does things that I just don't understand. Well, Nazca is now liberated many turns after they fall. Boom. We're going to head in there, we're going to hit that, and we will liberate it. That'll get me 100 Diplo favor. More importantly, it will liberate Nazca. By liberating Nazca, they now exist again, but more importantly, depending on how far into the game it is, I automatically get 6 envoys, and since they died, everyone else has 0. So that is the power of liberating them. I now have access to Nazca and their unique bonus. I get extra faith in my shrines and temples. I can also build the Nazca Line on, I could pop it right down here, which in fact I will go ahead and pop one down here. Where's my nearest builder? You, come over here. I'm going to pop down the Nazca Line. Boom. What the Nazca Line does is it gives every adjacent tile +1 food, +1 faith, and +1 production. Oh, I think they actually slightly changed these. It's +1 faith to adjacent tile, +1 food to adjacent desert. Hold on a minute. I need to look this up because the wording on that is not right. +1 faith to adjacent tiles, +1 faith to adjacent tiles with a resource, +1 food to adjacent desert and desert hills after discovering civil service, +1 production to adjacent flat tiles after mass production, +1 appeal can only be built in desert. I feel like these were nerfed. I mean, they're still pretty good. Like, +1 production and faith on this tile isn't bad at all. Especially on the water, they're great. Looks like it only really works on desert now, which is fine. I was expecting more out of it. I think those got stealth nerfed. Those used to be better. I swear to God. I swear those used to be better. Okay, so this is actually... do I want to talk about that now? I guess now is a good time to talk about that, because I'm getting pretty close to getting my Tier 3 government. Now, the Tier 3 governments that are best for a science victory are democracy and communism, right? Democracy, it's best for a science victory because it gives you a 15% discount on purchases with gold, which allows you to purchase builders. The reason why purchasing builders matters is because the Tier 3 government building, I believe it is called the Royal Institution. If I could open up the government building, right-clicking there doesn't seem to work. Where is it? It's in here somewhere. Royal Society. Yeah, it gives your builders the ability to use all of their charges as district bonus production, which is especially useful for space races because all of these things are, district projects, so you can feed builders into it. So democracy is nice because you get that 15% discount on purchasing, you get a lot of economic policy cards, you get a lot of wild cards, and so you can have a really efficient government helping you make your science victory. You also get the +4 food, +4 production for both cities with trade routes on the international, which means you can slap all of your trade routes into your capital and get a huge production line from your trade routes, which you can then combine with later in the game. If you pick up globalization, you can get +2 production, +5 gold in all trade routes for even more production. Now that's really, really nice if you are in good standing on the global community. If you're in bad standing on the global community and you want to win a science victory, communism is your bet. And that's for 2 reasons. It gives you an inherent effect plus 10% science. That 10% science is really, really important because the science victory is essentially, can you generate enough science to get through the tech tree, right? That is like what it is. Can you get enough science? is the primary check, and then the secondary check is, can you get enough production to actually finish these projects? The communism gives you bonuses towards both of those. It gives you about half a production per population in cities with a governor and a 10% science boost across the board. It also gives you this really, really nice card here, collectivization, which gives you +2 production and +4 food from your domestic trade routes. Now remember, democracy gives you it from your international trade routes. So democracy is a little bit better in the sense that you'll be able to generate gold, food, and production at a slightly higher rate by being international. But if you're having a game where everyone hates you, go communism and do them into internal trade routes. It also combines really well with there's a card here somewhere. It's like the upgraded version of Wisselbanken, I think it is. I swear it's in here somewhere. I don't know if I'm crazy. Oh no, I think they got rid of that card. Yeah, they did, and they put it into democracy. Yeah, they changed how that works. So yeah, this particular game, because I'm in relatively good standing, I have a couple of allies on the international scale. If I had maybe gone for early domination and then switched to science, I would have a lot less friends, and maybe have to go communism. But this game, I think I can go for a democracy science victory, which is pretty good. Also, something I never talked about is when you trade with an international city, you actually get a trading post in that city, and that's important because if you have a trading post in a city, any of your trade routes, you can see here, all of my trade lines here are all kind of going through these same tiles. So if I had a trading post in Shar Equimis, the trading post or the trade routes that go to Babylon would actually get extra gold, because if I've traded with a city previously and then my trade route actually goes over that city again, I get a little bit more gold. Hopefully that is a good enough explanation. So like the ideal scenario would be to trade with like Shari Quims, Hagmatana, Susa, and Ray all at the same time to get all the trading posts up. And, well, consecutively, I would trade with this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and then I would end up with like a whole bunch of extra gold. But anyway, I'm going to just trade with Persia because I seem to be able to keep him pretty happy. Oh, right, I have a settler that I stole, so I only need to build a couple. Well, I don't want to walk him across this continent, and he's already in position, so I'll throw him down. And this city, I can just basically forget about it. This was a free settler that I never actually did anything with. And settling this island is mostly a meme anyway. Oh, it looks like I could go for Kitakara as well. If I wanted to try to like liberate that as well. But I'm going to go for Puteoli. It should die pretty soon. Where did my tank go? Oh, there it is. Can you scooch your way over here and hit Puteoli? And so we can take that city for ourselves. Pretty much unscathed, and we're taking very little grievances here, right? In total, we've taken out 21 grievances. This is nothing, right? Considering like what we've done to them. Because we liberated one of their cities, by the way, that they had captured, we actually lost some of the grievances. Like, it's insane that we have, we denounced them, we declared war, we've taken their cities, and it's cost us almost nothing in terms of grievances. So other players aren't even getting upset by what we're doing. Again, let's say, like, if I accept their demands, they'll just get more mad at me. So I'm going to refuse his demands. There is chemistry and colonialism. Colonialism is a really nice civic, by the way, because it gives +1 production to all of your fishing boats, and it also gives you some pretty nice cards like colonial taxes. If you press the 2 key on your keyboard, you'll be able to see continents, and currently my entire empire is located on a single continent. But if my empire was maybe spread out across 2 continents, this card can be insanely powerful to plug in because it'll give you 25% gold and 10% production in a huge chunk of your empire. Right, so we've unlocked research labs. Next up, this is what I call the go AFK method to your tech tree. You click on rocketry, you hold down shift, you scroll to satellites, you click on satellites, and then you click on nanotechnology. And then you forget that the tech tree exists until you get up to here. So now all of my brain power is going towards micromanaging my empire to maximize the amount of science per turn I'm making. I could have done this way back at like maybe halfway through the last episode, the episode before this one, and have been much further along. But I thought it would be interesting to show you that you can kind of go to war pretty late into the game and make some value from it. And it honestly, it probably won't even cost me that much time on how quickly I'll win the game. I think I'll go ahead and try to take Kitukara as well. That would be kind of fun to me. See if we can't take that back for the people and so on. Man, like the highly mobile artillery with the supply convoys is insane, by the way. You really have to try this in one of your own games. Now, Aquilia is a city that has no housing, so in order for it to get housing, the only thing I'm going to really be able to do is improve farms, which really sucks, because they give half a housing each, which isn't amazing at all. And then I guess I'll burn down the rainforests in here, too? Sure. Oh, by the way, you don't have to be working the rainforest for it to kill population in this city. Just to be clear, it happens naturally. See here, in Iridium, I'll take my population off of the rainforest and we'll see what happens. The forest fires spread and it killed the population in Antium. If you remember, it was at 5 population with 1 turn to go to growth. So, despite the fact that numerous people have been commenting, you know, if you dework the tiles, your city won't lose population. Your city will lose population, okay? we can officially now stop commenting that thing. So, what I want to do now that I have research labs is I want to go through all of my cities and make sure that I am building research labs as a priority. Ostia doesn't even have a campus, so I don't even know what I'm going to do with this city. I may as well just throw down a district. Just placing in research labs everywhere where it makes sense. If I'm 1 or 2 turns away from finishing something, I'll let that finish and then work on the research lab. But pretty much everywhere, like bank, takes too long. I want to be working research labs if available. I can also throw down my industrial zone in here too, which I do want to do because that would give the city even more production. Basically got research labs placed nearly everywhere now. That's it, yeah. Everywhere is working on research labs. That is going to give me a massive boost to my science output. Again, remember, research labs, they provide 4 and 7 science, which can then get multiplied by the cards that I have. Oh, right, I completely forgot. Coastal flooding. That is a thing. Coastal flooding is a thing that I need to take care of. That's right. Oops. Completely forgot about coastal flooding there for a second. So I'm going to pick up computers real quick. So I can get my flood barriers up, because I do actually have quite a bit of coastal stuff that might flood if I don't get it. Alright, let's kill/liberate Kitukara. Boom, city is dead. Now I could liberate to the Inca for another 100 Diplo favor, or I could keep it. It's a pretty terrible city, so I'm just going to liberate it. And now I can peace out Rome. Rome has nothing left. I've taken all of their cities. I'm going to go ahead and talk to Rome and say, hey. I said, hey, what's going on? Give me your money and your Diplo favor. They're going to cede all of their cities. They're going to give me all of their money. They're going to give me the maximum Diplo favor that the AI will ever give, which is hard-coded at 20. And that's it. I took everything from them, and I got basically no grievances, so nobody actually hates me as a result of that. Even Rome, despite the fact that I took literally everything from them, they don't even hate me that bad. Like, this is a manageable relationship. I could probably, if I sent them enough gold, get this relationship to technically be positive. If I really wanted to. I'm not going to, but I could. So that's it. We have taken over Rome. We now own all of his land, and we have a little bit more science per turn as a result. So that's kind of a way that you can invest your late game army into getting a little bit more science. Now to go through and set all of my units to sleep, because they are no longer necessary. In fact, you could even, if you wanted to, delete these, but I like to have a little bit of an army just hanging around. Also, I just want to point out that Rome happily gave me open borders after I murdered his entire civilization down to a single city. And the reason why I don't want to take Rome's capital is because there's a lot of penalties for occupying someone's capital in terms of diplomatic favor. And I would like to be able to pass whatever I want in the diplomatic senate right now. Matthias Corvinus won the disaster targeting Pachacuti. I need to keep an eye on these aid requests because people are starting to get a lot of these diplomatic victory points. I am very close to a win, but I'm going to call that the end of this episode. Hopefully that kind of shows you how to, I could have inefficiently ground bombards into this enemy player, but instead what I did was I teched for artillery and did what I needed to do. So I'm going to call that the end of the episode. That's how to conduct a late game war. Not exactly perfect, but it showed you a lot. I didn't use aircraft. I could have used aircraft. Not a big deal. The next episode, we're going to be showing you how to completely power your way all the way from this point in the game to the win screen. I love you all very much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.